Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Somebody's Son podcast. Like so many others, I'm so grateful for the teachers and mentors that I've had in my life. And without a doubt, they've had an incredible impact on my development as a person. On this episode, we sat down and chopped it up with the phenomenal entrepreneur and educator, Devario Hawkins. Vario is the kind of passionate and out-of-the-box educator whose actions challenge those around him to do better. And his brand, We Know Folk, is just another example of how versatile he is. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
Welcome to another episode of the Somebody's Son podcast, where biting your tongue is never allowed. Young men battle with the pressures of manhood every day. Each episode, we tackle topics that focus on worth, actions, and relationships. Our goal is simple: help men win the war with themselves.
City is definitely changing.
Everything is time, man.
Yeah.
Time flies.
It evolves, man. Things evolve. But look, bro, for real, honestly, happy to have you on the pod, bro. Like this is
Thank you for having me.
this is a
man.
big deal, man. Especially being in your home. Tell them where you from, man.
So I'm from Petersburg, Virginia, man. Born, raised, high school, everything here, man. Everything about me is from Petersburg, man. Then I came to VCU. I always say Petersburg raised me, VCU saved me, man. I always say that, man.
What's the dynamic between those communities? Since you're from here,
from Petersburg, you know, it's a black community. You know, the average family income never been more than like 35, 36K ever here. And it's a place where, you know, a lot of the politicians and stuff, they embezzled a lot of the money, a lot of the resources that was for us was never allocated to us. So it's not much opportunity here, you know what I mean? So growing up here, you know, you kind of can get into a system of like, yo, you're not doing the wrong thing. Like, why you not doing the wrong thing? You soft, bro. You like, yo, because I'm trying to do something. So then I got to VCU and I met other people who was like, quote unquote, nerds like me, who was just cool nerds. Like, I make A's and B's, but I do like to get into some whatever. Yeah. So that's why I say it's cool, man. You get to get out of your hometown and, you know, experience something different, man. It was just beautiful. So much love to the hometown, man. And everything you're doing, man. Like I said, it's just beautiful, man. We need that here. So definitely.
It's funny that you say you went to VCU and it saved you, and you found that there was like cool nerds just like yourself. Because I remember a conversation that we had, and he was telling me when you start to build like relationships with people, or you start to build out a network of people, and especially coming to college now, because now I'm a sophomore, is that I want to go to college, I want to go out and find people with sort of the like mindset that I have.
Absolutely.
And he told me what you'll find is when you find one of those people, it's like a link chain.
Absolutely.
Because they know one of them. Did you feel like that was the case?
100%. As soon as I got to VCU, so I have a funny story. You're gonna appreciate this. As soon as I got to VCU, the first day I got there, I met this little brown-skinned, skinny kid from Virginia Beach. He was just smiling and where I was from, you know, people don't really be looking at you and stuff because, you know how it is here. You somebody looking at you, you thinking like, oh, they trying to. So he was just smiling or whatever. He came and was like, hey, what's up? My name is Eric, and that's Eric Penn. Yep. And since then, me and Eric have been like this. Like he's been a close dude. So I met Eric, and then from Eric, I met my boy Trueheart. Then I met my boy Vern Gordon, and then I met Clive, and then we started. That's how I got into the music with Clive, and it was just so many people. It was like a chain effect, you know. And I had a similar situation here because we got an opportunity to go to Gear Up, which was like a camp that took successful kids in high school. You can go to like different colleges and stay for the summer. So I had never been to a college camp, or I never know what that saw. So I got to stay at VCU for like 3 weeks and like go to class and like eat. This was before Schaefer. This was when they used to eat at the bottom.
Before what?
This was before. This
that was always
no
up,
Schaefer,
man.
right at the bottom of here.
There was no Schaefer.
So you know, it blew my mind. Like I never thought I would be at VCU, but you know, it happened. It was just beautiful how life happens, man.
It's funny. So the access portion, like I keep coming back to you focus on that a lot when we talk, Chris. But like you talk about access a lot. And it sounds like having access to people or an environment that you weren't necessarily accustomed to having, that had an influence on you.
Yeah, I think it's important, right? You need to be able to get out of your area, especially if you're in a small, you know, environment with lack of resources where it's like a lot of groupthink. You know, you need to be able to get out. So thankfully, my mom's side of the family's from North Carolina, so I was there. I have family in Atlanta, Georgia, so I would go to Stone Mountain, and then my mom, we like to shop, so we'd be in New York, go to Broadway, go get the bootleg Hot 97 CDs, the Hove CDs, and go shopping.
I don't know what that even means.
Yeah, it was. I had one of the first Sean John velour suits, bro.
That's crazy.
I know Sean John.
Was it the powder blue or?
I had the gray. Remember the gray? The off gray looking?
Yeah.
I had that joint.
They look like the cool gray Jordans.
Yeah, when I came back, it was like my 7th grade year. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna definitely get best dressed with this joint. And then they didn't give it to me. I was hot. Like, bro, what you mean? Like,
enough.
what you? How?
That's enough right there.
Bro, I was like, bro, ain't nobody else even got this. So.
No, man. But that access topic is important, especially for this area, because if you go less than 10 minutes from here, like the median income is almost $70,000, and it's crazy to me how your zip code can dictate your future.
That's a big thing. And, I worked in education since I got out of college, and that's a big indicator for like your success rate, right? They look at your zip code where you grow up at. Yeah. So I've taught in Richmond, I've been in Philly, I've been in Northern Virginia, D.C. now, and they really do kind of lock you into that. And it's funny because the kids in certain zip codes, they have like violin instructors. At my school, they got au pairs. I never even heard of that. That's like
it's
that's
the
like
live-in
a live-in nanny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they got that kind of access. So it's way different. And that blew my mind because I'm like, yo, our child care is grandma or your auntie or like a friend of the family. So it's definitely different.
There's a guy, man. So, dude, you know this. This is why, first of all, very intentional. We definitely got to dig into your brand. But one of the things we talk about here and one of the things we try to be intentional with is making sure we're elevating other creatives, especially folks from our community. So of course we know folk all over the place. Make sure y'all go cop that. But we listen to other podcasts too, man. We're not one of those people that's just like only focused on our content. I Am Athlete podcast, Brandon Marshall, Ocho Cinco, Channing Crowder, and Fred Taylor, the OG Fred Taylor. They just had a gentleman, man, and his name escapes me. We'll make sure we plug it. But he's a gentleman. He used to play bball. Now he's in like wealth creation and investments. And you remember that episode. Yeah. And he talked about like in our communities, a lot of times when one of us make it, wealth has to flow up because it wasn't passed down. As opposed to some of the kids you have in your school system with au pairs, wealth for them has always flowed down. It's always, what can I do for my next generation or my great grandkids or my grandkids, things of that nature. As an educator, how do we help solve that? Because you've been able to see different urban environments, if you will, but you've also been able to see like au pairs. Like that's wild. Like
I think education on all fronts, right? Because I think it has to be a tertiary, right? It has to be the home and community in the school. It can't be separate. Because if I'm only doing interventions in the school for this kid, right? But then he got an older brother, he got a mom and a dad who never had that. He's going to go home and everything that we've taught him is now negated. Yeah, so you got to get in the community and also, work with those families. A lot of, and the thing is, a lot of people come with an implicit bias. They just expect that a parent knows how to parent. They expect that you know how to access resources. They expect that you just know that. But if you was never taught that, then, like they said, hurt teenagers grow into be hurt adults, and then it's just a cycle. So I think we got to just kind of outreach on all fronts. We got to make sure we stepping it up in education in the classroom. But on the weekends, why aren't we opening the schools to teach families about the home buying process, about getting commercial real estate? Why aren't we doing that? And that's kind of like a little bit why we kind of started We Know Folk, because we wanted to do, it's more than just a clothing brand. It's about giving people something to be a part of. And like we both work in the human services field. Me and Reggie, he's a social worker. I've been in education, special education for years. So we definitely got a bigger vision for this, man. We want to make sure we touching everybody in the community. So
that's crazy. So the education can't just be pouring into the children.
Yeah.
Yep, I haven't really looked at it from your perspective. Like I'm guilty of not looking at it from that perspective. Like I've heard people tell us that as a community, we make too many investments on the back end. So rehabilitation, juvenile detention centers. And it's not to say that it's too late for people, but we should be pouring more of that investment in early childhood education. And the idea was that if you are able to create a better product on the front end, then they should be able to turn out to be a better product on the back end, high school, college, whatever. If you don't go to college, entrepreneurship, or even as an employee. What you're saying though is not just the student. Like that's only
one piece.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny. So I've been mentoring now ever since I came into college, and the organization that I've been blessed to be in leadership for. We mentor at a school where a lot of the kids are like at-risk youth, and one of the things that has been most frustrating for me is that you come in, you mentor the teachers, they do their best, but you come in, you mentor, you talk to the kids, you try to pass down some game and stuff like that, and then they got to go home to bad environments, man. You know what I mean? So it's hard to soak up the wisdom when, or it's even hard to break out of a mindset, that is pretty much taught in the home. Like a lot of the kids that I mentor, like some of them had charges, and these are middle school kids. You know what I mean? Some of them had charges. Some of them have brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers that are, they're in the system, and they don't have resources. So I agree that it's you have to look at the environment in totality, right? So trying to tackle, I think, traditionally people have been trying to tackle the problem just from an educational standpoint, but it's so much more, man, because when you get home, there's so much more education than just in the classroom, 100%. Right? That people need to have. And I don't really know, like I be trying to do my best and stuff, but I'm interested to hear your perspective from a teacher and an educator. Do you notice, like, I don't know, where do you teach it?
I don't teach anymore. I'm in administration now. So,
you're in administration now?
I'm in administration now.
Is that different?
Yeah, so you see it from totally different sides. It's like from going from being an employee to an owner. You kind of you make more procedural changes now. So in the classroom, I can impact my classroom, right?
Right.
As an administrator now, I'm in decision making. I work with the person who's scheduling. I make sure that the special education kids get top priority. I want to get you in the strongest teacher's classroom. I got a whole team of psychologists, social workers, etc. So now I can make decisions that can affect a whole school community as opposed to just a classroom. So then when you go to the next level, say you get to superintendent or downtown, you can even help, better. If I do continue in this track, I would definitely like to get more into legislation because we need more of us there to make, these legislations and the curriculum, right? Why is the curriculum so biased, right? Like,
right.
I'm so good.
No, go you.
How much bandwidth do you have to reach outside, like, the job description per se? Because you're in administration level, so you impact psychology, social workers and psychologists and teachers and scheduling. How much bandwidth or support do you have within the resources that are available to you because of your position that allow you to make decisions that kind of go above beyond the call of duty? Or is it a lot of roadblocks for that?
Oh, so I got a shot. My principal is awesome. My principal has been at the school for about 9 years, and he interviewed me, and he was like, look, I need somebody like you here. Like, you get it, you understand, you're young, you're fresh, you got new ideas, and, I understand I'm a middle-aged white guy. I already come with a certain bias. I need somebody on my right hand who can help me to kind of, reach through this community.
The amount of awareness that takes.
Yeah, and that's a rarity, you know what I mean? To see that. So, coming from Petersburg, where I told you the average family income, to now being in like one of the most richest sides of D.C., still a public school, but it's kind of ran like a charter. It was weird because I had to get there and like kind of understand, sometimes somebody say something and they're like kind of, you feel like they're questioning your credibility, right? Yeah. And you got to be able to handle that professionally. So I had to get there, I had to learn how to get my transition words, my email, therefore. Therefore. However. Yeah, man, but I do. I mean, I say that to say I have a strong network of people. I presented at the Council for Exceptional Students this year. So I have a lot of educational advocates and consultants. All of us are Black. We're working in community. So I have a plethora of different resources, man. So I definitely have a lot more room to grow than I would say some administrations and some schools have.
So you mentioned that, so where did you start? We're just meeting now for the first time, so I have a lot of questions, right? But where did you start as an educator? Did you go from like elementary to middle to high, or what was the development in your career as of right now?
So
we go way back.
So yeah, man, it was, so when I was in Who's Among American high school students, right? And you know how you read what you want to be? Yeah. And bro, I read it said I wanted to go to UVA and I wanted to be either a lawyer or like a paleontologist, something wild. I was like, yo. So anyway, I got to VCU and I wanted to study psychology because I felt like growing up here, it's tough trying to be the quote unquote good kid in a mad city. It's kind of tough to do that. So I kind of came into like these feelings of like uncertainty, sometimes insecurity about how you handle things, you know what I mean? And my father's always been in my life, but he didn't live at my house. Right. So it's different when you can't come home and talk to somebody. You live with all women, so you kind of like suppressing, you know? So I kind of learned early about the mind and how it works and how like, it's malleable. So I really wanted to go into psychology. So I got my psychology, I got that track, and then I had to do an internship. And I started at the Faison School for Autism in Richmond. It was right there past by Willow Lawn. Work with students with the most severe, cases of autism spectrum disorders. So I started there. I did that for about a year. And then I got into what you're doing, which is like the mentoring counseling. I was a qualified mental health professional.
Okay.
So I was doing in-home counseling, day treatment counseling. And then from there, I started working at United Methodist Family Services. I was like a teacher counselor. So I was like on the behavioral side the whole time.
Wow.
And from there, I got an opportunity to go to Maryland and work at a school called the High Road School. I didn't really like it because it was like an alternative school, but they didn't have nothing for the kids. Like you can't try to like rehabilitate somebody and put them in a worse situation than they were in. Right? These are kids. There's no gym. Why is it like, how are these kids going to ever grow if they don't have nowhere to like burn that energy off or whatever? Yeah. So I was at work one day. I went online. I saw it was an opening at GW grad school. It was a shot in the wind because, GW is kind of prestigious. I hadn't been in school. So I was like, let me just see. I applied. They called me that day. I went that day for an interview. The class was supposed to start like that Monday. So this was like a Tuesday. Yeah. So it was like, can you take a standardized test for us? Like, can you take the Miller analogy test or the GRE, whichever one? I was like, well, I'm great with analogies. I went and took the analogy test that Thursday. I passed it and I started the program that Monday. Wow. So I got my master's in special education and human development with specifics in emotional behavior disability. So, and that's how I kind of got into this track.
So not the traditional, is that different from the traditional route that people take when they want to be like educators in the system and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask it like this. If there's anybody who, like I have lots of friends who want to go into teaching and stuff like that, what would you recommend them or what advice would you give to somebody who wants to be an educator in the system and help reform and help change? What path is the best path to take, and given your experience now doing all these different things? Because I think it's beautiful that you have a wide variety of experience in education, right? So would you suggest that, or would you say you should go and because now you're administrator too, so you see like 100 different paths to teaching, right? Or education.
I would say whatever path leads you to that classroom, that's the path you should take. As an administrator, I've seen like my principal, he was in corporate America and just said, I want to work with students. I want to give back. I want to start doing something. He ended up there. I had my path. I have other teachers who did Teach for America. Some people worked at charter schools and KIPP. I think that if you have a passion to really give back to the community, especially affect the youth and work with the youth, you're going to find that path. There are so many people who have like worked big time jobs. Like I've had teachers work under me who were like working on Wall Street and things of that nature. And they just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't enjoy what I'm doing. I'm making money, but I want to go and do something I'm enjoying. So my advice would be, whatever that path is that you're on, just continue on it. Because if you're an educator, the biggest thing isn't about can you teach the Pythagorean theorem? Can you teach photosynthesis? It's like, am I teaching a curriculum or am I teaching people? And if all you're teaching is a curriculum, then are you an effective teacher?
Yeah, we have to create an environment where people know being purpose-led is cool.
Absolutely.
Like that has to be the new standard. And so if purpose-led for you is being a creative, if purpose-led for you is being a teacher and creating impact, like we have to start creating an ecosystem where being purpose-led is the new normal. Because I agree with you. There's plenty of folks I work with in corporate America. They're miserable, but their family dynamics and the environment in which they were kind of like they were raised in, it doesn't encourage folks to be more purpose-led. Absolutely. So that's good. You about to say something? I didn't mean to cut you off, bro.
No, you good. I have a question. Do you think if your upbringing were different, say you were in the next zip code over, do you think you would be in the same field that you're in now professionally and then also creatively, your mindset? How do you think you would be different if you grew up across the tracks?
That's a great question. I was just talking about this because my dad lives in Chesterfield. So I had the opportunity to go to Meadowbrook or go to Atlee. The basketball coaches wanted me, but I wanted to stay in Petersburg, even though I knew I most likely was going to get cut from the team because it's one high school. Everyone's competitive. Everyone can hoop. So
everyone can hoop.
But I feel like because I was here, it made me who I am. I don't. If I did go to Meadowbrook, I don't think I might not be who I am today. I say that because, again, when you're in an environment where nobody has much, you got to make yours pop. You know what I mean? So from a kid, I would like take an old Tommy Hilfiger shirt, and I saw the Jadakiss video when he had the Nikes with the like Gucci on there. So I was like, I'm gonna make my plaid Nike. So I cut the plaid Nikes, took my mom to Michael's and got me a glue gun and put that on there. So we all got Air Forces, but I got the plaid joint. So I think that when you're in an environment like this, you kind of got to find out a way to stand out. And I think that's kind of helped me with my creative. And then as an educator, I saw how the education system just did a lot of us wrong, right? You know, like for us, AP or gifted classes was like, oh, well, y'all kids are the kids we know are going to do something. We'll put y'all in the same class. Your mom is active. You have family in your life. But what about the kids who wasn't? I had friends who was just as intelligent. They just didn't have the opportunity. So I think I would be totally different, man. Like, it's tough down here, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I would not trade it for the world.
Yeah. Talk to us about the brand. You said it's bigger than just clothes.
Yeah, so Reggie and I, we were just talking, and you know, like I said, he's a social worker. I'm a teacher. I was a teacher in education or whatever. So I was like, man, we were both talking. We was like, man, we need a link in our bio, dog. We were just laughing or whatever. So we were like, he had a vision. He was just like, yo, I want to do something like, you know, we can do the clothes and we can do the community impact. I was like, I'm with it. Like, let's do it. So I was sitting at the computer. We was just trying to figure out how we wanted to do the logo. We was working with a creative, like a creative strategist, you know, to create the logo. And she was just giving us some stuff and we didn't really like it. So I just found a font that I like and I just did that. And I was like, yo, can you do this font with the rose? And then she did it for us. And from there, it kind of, we started doing the clothes and operating, and then it was during COVID. So we really wanted to get into more community building things. Like we really wanted to do like clothes drives, food drive. We wanted to teach kids how to become entrepreneurs. If you're creative, you know, we want to teach kids how to do that. Cause I did music and all through VCU and, you know, I still right now. So, we just wanted to be able to just do something that made everybody feel good about it, man. So we was like, yo, we know folk. I was like, I like this name. We know folk. And Reggie was like, yo, I love it. And then we've been going since then, man. It's been beautiful. So, really enjoying it.
Go ahead. How's the support been? Like, have you seen friends, family show up more or at all? Or have you seen strangers show up, support? How's the support been?
It's been both, man. It's been beautiful, man. Like, family supported me a lot. Friends supported us a lot. People I've never met supported us a lot. So yeah, it's been a real good outpouring of support, man. It's been really nice. A lot of people just been supporting us from the jump. I have friends now who, regardless of what it is, are like, I want to cop something now. Like, so it's been really good support, man. Like, I can't thank everybody enough for real. It's been nice.
That's good, man.
Yeah, well, I want to ask a question. It's funny. I came with a lot of questions, bro, but it's weird when you get into like this creative like nature of work, right? That we're all sort of in the trenches in right now, right?
Yeah.
So like we're doing media, you got the clothing, you know, we're all doing a bunch of things. And I want to open this up because I know we've been like pretty much, it's kind of been like interview style a little bit.
Sure.
But I do want to hear from everybody's perspective here is that, so working as an employee for something else and then starting this creative endeavor, right? Changes your perspective on work in general, right? Have you found, and I want to open this up, maybe we'll start with you and then we'll move around. Have you found that because you've started the brand and because you're doing this line of work that you want to move away from like the traditional education, a role in that?
So that's a good question. With the brand, not really, because I can, like my coworkers support my brand now, you know what I mean? But I did have that internal conflict when I was doing music, right? Because I was getting my master's degree, I'm in education, I'm working with kids, I'm working with kids who have disabilities, right? But then I'm rapping too. So, you know, I'm rapping and I like my rappers to be a little braggadocious and to be talking, that, you know what I mean? So I did have an internal conflict because I'm like, man, like that song kind of raw. I can't promote this with my job. Like, and then I was worried, like, what if my job people find out that this is my rap persona or whatever? So I couldn't really do it with the clothes. I didn't have that, but I will say that I do enjoy just the creative process of the brand and like, you know, figuring out the designs I want and designing. So you do kind of want to do that full time. You know what I mean? So you're like, I can't wait till I am in the position to do that full time.
Right. And then this question was more directed at him because this dude is killing corporate America. So is Chris, but both of you are. Do you feel like Chris and Donald, with all the things that you're doing creatively, that it's pulling you away? He took the glasses off. He took them straight off.
You can have your moment. Go right ahead.
For me, I'm passionate about what I'm doing, right?
Right.
I will lead with this. My experience in corporate America has laid a solid foundation. Right. I wouldn't be able to invest in this building had I not had a corporate America backing, like the backing of my salary, essentially, right?
Right.
But
hold on, you own the building?
Oh, you own this place? What is this place called?
Purchased.
Shameless plug.
House
Let's get
on
it.
Market. Shameless.
In
House on
Petersburg,
Market. Look it up
Vario
on TikTok.
Petersburg,
Look it up
Let's
on
go.
Instagram. What's the
Petersburg,
Instagram?
man.
House on Market.
Yes, sir.
So we have a creative studio here in Petersburg. We haven't opened just yet, but once we open up, we want to be a linchpin in the community. We want the same things we were talking about, Devario. We want to make sure that the kids here and the community here have a place where they can create anything they want to do: music, artistry, photography, videography, podcasting, anything we want to do. We want to make sure that the space is available to everyone, but more so we focus on Petersburg because there's a larger need for it here. Back to your question, Ali. Corporate America laid the foundation. Without that, I wouldn't be in the position where I am now. However, this is more purpose-led, like Don was mentioning. This is the reason why I get out of bed. Corporate America, my job is just a means to the end. But the end is to be the linchpin in the community. The end is to have the social capital so high within the community that we build that trust and we can in turn be able to provide. Because a lot of the times when people don't know that they have access to things, just because a building opens up does not necessarily mean it's going to be flooded in with people who actually need it, right? So how do I build the social capital in the community, irregardless of this, outside of, the business or the real estate? How do you build the social capital in the community that you can build that trust with individuals and show them, hey, this is a place that you can come be yourself? This is why we want to highlight, Black faces and Black families, and we're inclusive to all. We want to highlight us. The representation of us is important. I want to show people that the possibilities are there. Again, I think we mentioned in the last episode, it's not easy. It's difficult. Finances, emotions, long hours. It's difficult to do, but the possibility is there. And once you understand and once you know that you can strive for something, that's kind of all some of us need to kind of make that change. Because if you look at our zip code, Devario, and everyone in this room, we could not be where we are right now strictly because of where we grew up.
Could have been the other way.
Yeah.
It could have been the other way so easily. So I'm very grateful in where I am now, but I had enough support for me to be able to take just the small scraps that I had and build this. Right? Just to get this far as a feat within itself. But how can we make it a bit easier for the people that's coming behind us? And I think that's what you mentioned. And that's why I appreciate your line of work and you choosing that path and able to progress up to the administration side, because now you're making decisions that can impact the larger, the larger group. Yeah. But I say all that to say this: corporate America has been the foundation. However, I want to do this full time. I want to be in the community. I want to build. I want to be able to provide access and resource to people as a full-time job. That was the other reason why we thought it was important to purchase this building, because now we have more skin in the game. Nothing, you have to do whatever numbers make sense for you, right? So I'm not knocking anything else, but this made sense for us for the long term because it gives us the ability to scale at different levels, right? And if we want to do the same thing elsewhere, and it's not about me or the business idea, but we want to be able to take the same concept of a intimate place where creatives have full access to do whatever they need to do and take it to, the hate-filled Georgias, kind of the outside of the major cities, those small towns where it's majority of us, where the median income may be below the poverty line. We want to start there. We want to be able to entrench ourselves in those communities because we're forgotten. Right. We're forgotten. And I think it's up to us who have been able to progress forward and strive through it and jump a lot of hurdles. We have to knock those hurdles down for others.
Was there a part of you too that was saying, man, I really just want to be in control of my future, like the future of my work? Because that's what pulls me. Like, I have that internal conflict. Is there a part of you that thinks about that?
There is. I spend a lot of time, since we're on the topic, I spend a lot of time on the road for work. Like I went to your first thing Devario said was, man, you've been all over the world. I have been, and it was a wonderful experience for me. But those were a lot of lonely times. Right. But I got to know myself very, very well. Right. Good, bad, different. I know who I am, and I'm very grounded in who I am. And I don't think I'd be where I am today had I not had those experiences. And my job has been able to, afford me those. There's getting to the point where I know I'm going to max out on the time I'm willing to invest in someone else's dream. Right. Because the company y'all work for, their dream, this is someone else's dream.
Right.
And they're executing on their dream and they get to spend their time how they want to.
Right.
I think we should be able to afford, be afforded the same luxury as well.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I think the first thing you said about the communities, you want to go to smaller communities outside of major metropolitan areas, phenomenal. You're right. Those communities need you. They need household markets.
Yes.
They need a place where creatives can come. And I think what you're saying about even growing up in this city, in Petersburg, you would have benefited from a household market.
Oh, 100%.
And so just because you don't have one, it hasn't prevented you from showing up and supporting one that's now in your hometown. So kudos to you, Chris, and your wife. As it relates to the internal struggle, I think it's a good thing. Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn talks about tours of duty. And so to your point, foundationally, the reason why you were able to purchase this building and be able to even curate some of the experiences in each of the studio rooms is because of, creative, but it's also because you have lived across the world. So we're sitting in a library that has a lot of the mementos that you've taken away from those, 23 countries. So I think that's good. Two things I want to make sure we don't project on people, and I'm not saying y'all doing that, but I want to make sure it's abundantly clear. You could be passionate about something and not be full-time in it.
100%.
And
100%.
Purpose-led means creating impact and living up to whatever purpose the creator has given for you. For you, that may mean that tour of duty is coming to an end in corporate, so you could take on a tour of duty here full-time. And you're recently married. Me and Vario, we appreciate and love this, but one of the tours of duty that's probably along your path is fatherhood. We there already. We love that, right? Am I a stay-at-home dad with my son? No. Is Vario a stay-at-home dad with his son? No. But we're super passionate and love our kid, and we're being very purposeful on how we grow crew and grow Dalen. Because I don't think you raise kids. I think you grow kids.
100%.
Raising is for cattle. I don't raise my son. I grow my son. And my job is to water him so he can grow into whatever he wants to be. So I don't think, if there's creatives out there that find themselves doing multiple things, that's okay. Just continue to move purposeful. But I love the fact that you want to move into the next tour of duty full time.
When that happens.
When that
I'm not
happens.
really sure when. I love my job. I actually like what I do. And
Shout out to the jobs.
Shout out to the jobs.
Shout out to the
jobs.
But to your question, do I have an internal struggle? My internal struggle in climbing corporate is really twofold. And I think I struggle with what Vario struggles with. If Vario were to go do branding, creative, and apparel full time, now there's kids who won't be able to plug into Vario. I work for the largest PR company in the country. There's minority brands, and because I want to make sure I maintain confidentiality. There's a lot of people y'all know that are people of color that we do business with. And you look at you buy their music, you buy their clothes. They need people like me in those boardrooms.
Right.
Beyonce rejected doing business with Reebok because when she showed up, she said, ain't nobody in the room that looked like me. Now, granted, she's working with Adidas, which is still part of the larger holding company, but there's creatives there that look like her. And who else is at Adidas? Oh, Pusha T. Oh, Pharrell Williams. Oh,
Kanye.
insert
Kanye.
Yeezy, right?
Kanye.
Kanye. So I think there's both. My internal struggle is as much as I love media and the plans that we have to be able to curate content that your son, my son, your future kids, or even young men like you in college can be encouraged by and can listen to anonymously without having to worry about, I'm getting free game and they may be judging me. Like, my struggle is, even if I was as passionate to walk away, what happens? Because I've been able to climb so quickly in corporate, what happens when I walk out the room? There's no other dudes in the room that look like me. There's no other women in the room that look like me. So that struggle for me is, how do I balance that? And I think when you were talking, I kind of felt that. It's like, as much as I even if I wanted to go all in on entrepreneurship, I also recognize for the community, they need me in there. And no offense, we always talk about our communities and people of color or even minorities on what they need, but no offense, my majority counterparts need me in there. They need me in there having conversations, because I'm talking on blind spots. They have nothing. They have no awareness.
They can't even see it.
And they appreciate it. You know what I mean? So that's the struggle for me. It's like, as much as I love, and we got amazing things planned, right? for somebody's son, and even some of the holding companies that we're about to partner with, take some investment and grow and scale. Y'all gonna love it. I'm telling you. At the same time, I also recognize I got another responsibility, and that responsibility is making sure for Crew and for Dalen, or even for Ali, if you walk inside of that room, it's somebody on the other side that's going to be intentional with you. I don't want people to, I watched the movie The Banker. I never want my son to be the banker. I never want my son to have to feel like he has to have a face in the majority in order for his business to be
100%.
successful. And so the only way that happens, you can't just have black entrepreneurs. You can't just have minority entrepreneurs or women entrepreneurs. You got to have people inside that boardroom and that corporate room that says, we will do work with the full fabric of our community. We will be intentional in creating bonds and relationships with the creative houses, right? So for me, that's what's super important.
And I want to piggyback on that because you bring up an excellent point where we need, again, representation. The same thing we're trying to do is create representation. We need it across the board. That's how we're able to break down the barriers of access, right? But in addition to being in the boardrooms and being, creating relationships with people who can further help the growth as a whole, we need the training, right? So if I would have left college or never went to college and decided I wanted to just buy a random commercial property and open a creative studio, that would have looked way different 10 years ago as opposed to me having the corporate experience that I have, me understanding project management, the things I've been able to, the skills I've been able to mature, the things I've been able to, the ways I've been able to groom myself. And this could be simple things, it could be more analytical things, whatever. The skill set isn't important, but the training that you get in corporate America, it can definitely help. And I'm not saying it's a required route before entrepreneurship is to be in corporate America. However, to Donald's point, if you're in those boardrooms, you have to get there. You have to, if you can get to a situation where you are at the biggest PR firm in the country, you had to fine-tune certain skills along the way, whether it be communication, whether it be management skills, whether it be time management skills. You pick a element, it needs to be fine-tuned to get to those situations. So now not only can the Downs of the world be beneficial to helping the majority understand and see those blind spots that they may have because of the implicit bias that your principal mentioned, but not only the Down Knights of the world can still reach back to the community and say, hey, here's a way you can do it. Here's a way you can do it. These are the steps that you can take. And it's there's a level of refinement due to your training that allows you to do that. I mean, we look at Kobe Bryant, for example, like he was a madman for basketball and I mean, his footwork, and like you name it, we don't have to talk about the greats of Kobe Bryant. But when you constantly train your mind, you constantly train your body, you can do things that people without it can't. And you need that refinement.
People, so often people want the success that comes. They want the success, but they don't want the refinement. They don't want the journey. They don't want the process. And
they want the end goal.
And that bothers me. Part of the reason, I'll be honest, and you know this, I don't advertise people that I support by any stretch of the imagination. Because honestly, I don't want people supporting me that way. Like, I don't want you supporting me because you want to then go tell everybody, hey, I'm the one that supported Donald. I don't want that. Like, I don't want that. And you see a lot of people do that. But like, the conversations we've had privately. And I want you to be successful. Like, if I can't own the brand, I want to rock the brand that one of my mans owns. And so I don't know what it was like. Like you said, the way you even had to refine the logo. People want a dope logo, but they don't want to go through multiple iterations of what that looked like.
That's the funny thing, because people don't realize that, all right, say if you have this opportunity, you have this huge opportunity in this platform, but you're not prepared, it ain't gonna go nowhere. And the reason why you're prepared is because of the journey that you take, right? And in the classroom, like a lot of teachers, it was funny, I had a teacher, I was his mentor teacher. Dude's like 70 years old. He's been teaching history forever. He had a hard time connecting with the kids, right? So he knew the curriculum like the back of his hand, but he was like a robot. Like, kids have to go to the bathroom. No, like, bro, like, it's just small stuff, right? So for me, I'll teach history and I'll make sure you can pass this SOL test because I know that's how the school get they funded. I understand. But I'm going to teach you the game, though. I'm going to teach you, if you're doing the wrong thing, I'm not your father. I'm going to teach you how you should do the wrong thing so that you don't bring attention to yourself. Yo, don't do that. Why you posting on Instagram? That's not how you need to do that. When I'm teaching the French Revolution, this is the Bastille, whatever. I know y'all don't want to hear about this right now, but this is one of the true revolutions, right? And this Mr. Hawkins right here. This right here. This is me right here at the Bastille. Look at that. I'm rocking Jordans at the Bastille. Y'all can go there. Yo, how can I go there? My kids didn't feel like, how can you go there? Yo, you can take a flight, bro. I mean, this is the website where you can get the discounted flights, bro. Book a flight on a Tuesday through Thursday. You can get it for the discount. You and your girl go there.
Yeah. Free game.
I'm giving the kids what they want to understand so then they can see in me what they can do. Yeah. But if you just there just preaching at me, just giving me something for the curriculum, because ain't nobody gonna ever ask me, like I said, photosynthesis. Ain't nobody gonna ever ask you that on no interview.
Nah.
That's so crazy, bro. I got goosebumps when you're talking, bro. First of all, I commend you. I think the work that you are doing is absolutely needed. We need people like you.
This is how you rock Jordans at the Bastille.
This is, but here's the thing that you touched on, bro, is that education is more than, you've mentioned this already, it's more than the curriculum, right? Mm-hmm. We have a responsibility as educators. I even consider myself, we're all in the same, maybe not as much responsibility as he has, but every time they cut those cameras on, we have responsibility too, right? Because the people who are watching this, whether it lands on a kid, whether it lands on somebody who's 30 years in, somebody who's 70 years in, we have a responsibility to teach them. There's a different way of teaching people that is just outside of information, right? Mm-hmm. We need to teach life skills. Mm-hmm. We need to teach access. Mm-hmm. We need to teach kids like, this is, instead of teaching them the information, we need to teach them how to think about this information and how to apply it and how to do things like that, right? Because then you get educators who don't know how to connect with their kids. And you can't learn when you cannot connect with somebody, 100%. Right? They don't want to listen to you. But the beautiful thing about this, I want to tie this all back, is because we've all been talking about, you mentioned it before, but it's exactly what you're doing now, and it's laying foundation. And the reason that I want to commend all of you is because the thing with people is that they may think like, it's kind of like the thing that people say when they're like, my vote doesn't matter, right? The individual effort doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but it absolutely does. And the reason that, per example, the reason that shit is important, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but I'm getting passionate.
You in the zone. I ain't even mad.
The reason that is important, let me give you an example, right? You've been talking about laying foundations, and people that look like us, our wealth and our impact has to scale upwards, right? Yep. But from the foundation that you've laid, and even now in education, people in my generation, like specifically me, I now am working in a media company, and I'm a kid, and I'm allowed access to. You guys built the foundation, and I'm now, I don't want to say reaping the rewards of it. It is. I'm benefiting off of it, right? Yeah. From your individual effort to lay foundation, right? And even your individual effort in showing representation, because now my life is not the same as, and your guys' lives are not the same as our fathers and our grandfathers who kept laying this foundation, 100%. Right? So it's the effort over time is so, and it takes one person, bro, but the effort over time is actually creating value for us. Because now, as opposed to our fathers and you guys, I have more power over my future than ever before, right? Yeah. And Dalen and Crew, how old is Crew?
3 months.
3 months. So as he comes of age, the decisions that we make and the representation that we distill for people like us, they go back into the pocket of the Crews and the Dalens, and now they'll have more power than I do over their future. And they get to come in here into places like Household Market and determine what they want to be.
And that's how you
what they want to do.
That's how you shift communities.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Like that's how you have to lay the foundation, and so many times, like I won't point back to the generations that came before me, because if I was not present, I don't feel like I have a full picture, so I am not going to judge or blame. Yeah. But I will judge my generation. Yeah. And if you're not moving purposefully, like you're not gonna feel comfortable around me.
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest. You're not gonna feel comfortable around me because I'm serious.
Look straight. Where's your camera? Look straight into the shot and say that.
Honestly, if you're not moving purposely, you're not gonna feel comfortable. You will hate. You're not gonna like what we working on. You're not gonna like the fact that we bring in attention to folks that are actually doing the real work inside and outside the classrooms. Dads that's actually stepping up. If you're not taking care of your kids, you're not gonna feel comfortable around us. And the reason why is because we lay in the foundation. And what you talked about is, and I love this about what Vario using the Jordans at the Bastille is, people are always watching. Yes. We had Tiara Russell on, who's the creative genius behind Household Market, and she said they were basically riding scooters, and then in Ponce inside of Atlanta, like near Ponce City Market, and then some random strangers was like, "Oh, y'all was the one riding the scooters, right?" And so She didn't know people were watching, but people are always watching. And so my challenge to y'all is when people watching y'all, what do they see? What do they see? When they look at this teacher, they see a man who, I'm not gonna just help you pass this SOL, but I'm gonna also make sure you think you can grow outside of Petersburg. There's nothing wrong with Petersburg, but you can grow outside of Petersburg and you can go visit other countries and then you can come back and create foundations for 100%. People. And that's why we wearing y'all brand, bro. Yeah. And as long as we got a platform, we know folk gonna make sure, we gonna plaster it everywhere. If you get tired of me wearing we know folk, it's okay. Turn it off. You don't gotta watch the pod, because moving forward, we only moving purposefully, man. Yeah. And folks that don't like that, or if you just wanna stay in the same place, I'm not judging you, but you're gonna feel very uncomfortable around me.
Absolutely.
We are laying foundation and we have kids and we have things that we have to pass on to make sure our community was left better than we found it.
Yeah, and because we don't got time to play.
Yeah.
We don't have the time to play no more.
Preach.
Like, it's not time for that. Like, when the kids, when I'm talking to my coworkers and they're like, they're making a decision that I know is kind of like, it's going to affect the kid, right? Hey, should we call CFSA? I haven't seen this kid. Like, all right, what's your purpose in doing that? If you worried about him now, you ain't gonna even see him no more when you call CFSA, Child and Family Services. Yeah. So let's not do that. And I realized when I was at that school, I'm the only black man that's ever been in administration there, right? Wow. I was it's only black teacher there. He's a music teacher. Yeah, wow. My first week there, I went to a pre-K class. This little kid asked me, he was a little kid, he was 4. He asked me, do I clean? Because the only other black men he saw were janitors at that school. So that hit me, right? Because I'm like, wow, because to him, his au pair is black. The janitors, they servants, right? So he had never saw it. I was like, no, I work beside the principal. So now when he see me and they come and they do that, we talk about it. So I know that now when I make a decision or when I check somebody in a meeting or when I tell a social worker, like, no, you need to approach this family like this, I know that something I said is going to affect them, because not only am I working for us, I'm working for them to when they tell their kids, like, oh, no, we can't look at it like that no more. Yeah. You can't put me in a box. Because the first thing they say when it's you and this PR company, when it's me and this administration role, like, oh, there's no privilege. Look at y'all. Yeah. Yo, I'm one of one. Yeah. I'm the only one in my family who did this. Yeah. How many of your family doing this? Yep. So
you're raising the standard past education. You know what I mean? Like that's the crazy thing about thinking about this, is that traditionally, the awareness that it takes, first of all, to try to change a system like the education system, bro, it's phenomenal, and there's a lot of faults. So like, I know you've already thought about this, is that it's a long road, right?
It is, yeah, definitely.
But like we talked about, every little thing matters, and bro, by just raising the bar, like he said, like people are gonna notice, and they're gonna want to take part in that, and it's gonna help shift the movement. But like you were talking about, for education, bro, I mean, it's more than just education. We're literally we're growing kids, right? It's past just Donald and Dalen, right? It's the responsibility lies on whoever's spending time with the person, right? So like, these kids are spending a lot of time. I spent 12 years just doing elementary, middle, and high, like we all did, right? Yeah. Right? So my teachers had so much of an influence over the way I ended up right now, right? And so did my environment, because when I go to mentor, bro, at Benford Middle School, shout out to Benford Middle School, bro. I love the kids there. They're all, they're all phenomenal. Yeah. But I remember talking to the kids, and the only couple jobs that they were telling me is that they want to be police officers, firefighters, or mailmen. Like, cause that's what the environment is, right? And I come in as a college student, and now they're like, okay, they came to the campus, and then they're like, you know what? I think I want to be an engineer. Yeah. That changed my life, man. We had a conversation about that, because when I walked into Benford Middle School, I remember talking to Chris about this, is that I wanted to change the world at scale, right? I didn't necessarily know, like, I wanted to create something that impacted millions of people, right? But what was lost on me is that, first of all, in order to create that kind of impact, you have to impact one person. And you have to know how to do that, right? Because you have to take a single-minded focus.
Remember that conversation.
You remember that, right?
I remember that conversation.
And Chris told me, he looked at me and he said, what you want to do can be achieved with one person.
Yeah, it can be.
Can be achieved with one person.
Before you one thing we really got to do, bro, like you say, it's bigger than just education. We got to share resources. Yeah. When we in these small communities, bro, we get so caught into like competing with each other, like, oh, he got this, I don't got this, it ain't enough. And then, the business 101 is create a false sense of scarcity so you can sell something. It's enough out here for all of us to get it. We do not have to be competing with each other. Yeah. There is no reason for that, bro. So when kids ask me, yo, Ms. Hawkins, how can you do this? Oh, this how you do it? I give you the whole thing. I'll write you up a whole plot how you do it. How should I do this interview? Like, yo, your resume, we're gonna work on this resume.
And you know what? You know why that's different? Because the impact that you're creating is raising the level of the kind of educators that your school is gonna need.
And that's what they need, man. And
Exactly.
It's a problem because when I go in the classroom and I observe a teacher, and she keeps calling on the smart kid who's answering all the questions, right? And she's thinking she's killing the observation. And then I give her critique and I kill her. I'm like, you're not giving nobody else the opportunity to partake in this conversation. So are you just talking to her or are you teaching the classroom? Because I'm not here to see you show me your star student. I'm here to see you engage the student who don't care about what you teach. I'm here to see how you talk to those kids. I'm here to see how many home visits
Vario
you've done.
coming at next.
But that's what I'm here to see, though.
Yo, and you can lose so many people that way, right?
Yep.
Because you can lose the one you're not calling on.
Yeah.
You lose the one that you're calling on.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was that kid in class that was answered all the questions and all that and paid attention, but I also wasn't challenged in schools because I was generally a good kid, so I got passed along.
Exactly.
So I could not really push the envelope on my ability to or just striving for greatness because and he don't really cause no trouble and he participated in class. So you missed this final exam. It's okay.
I'm gonna give you the grade anyway.
I'm gonna give you the grade anyway because you're a good kid. So you're not pushing me academically. So we all have a VCU connection. When I first got to VCU, I failed English 101. I had an F my first semester. And I told my teacher, he was like, Chris, what's going on? I said, I never wrote a paper before. He said, didn't you have a senior paper in English? I said, yeah, I turned in one and I passed, right? And the next semester I took, I ended up getting an A. I think I've told that story before, but it was that level of, because I was a good kid and because I showed, I was a little bit interested, I never had to challenge myself.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
That's
So
the story of
you lose
most of
some
us,
these
bro.
people.
Most of us don't have to, like I was the same way. I got the biology 101. Great professor. I'm thinking he's one of those professors where the test, every answer could be right though. Failed the first test. I thought I had an A on that joint. That was when I first had to learn how to study. I had to go learn to go sit in the library and learn how to teach myself to study. That's a big thing, man. When I go to, that's why I'm not playing when it comes to education and when it comes to kids and when it comes to teachers, because I have a lot of patience with kids.
Yeah.
A kid I can understand. I can understand where you come from. But with adults, I really don't have that much because it's like, yo, you've been here. There's no reason for you not to know.
Yeah.
When we was growing up, there was no house on market, right? Yeah. There was no MacBook with GarageBand. So when I saw Ilyas making music, and I'm like, yo, Trey Songz, I didn't even know how you could go to a studio. I didn't even know the process of getting your music on the radio, right? Yeah. Now we got the internet. You can't tell me you're a teacher, you on social media every day, and then you don't understand implicit bias. You see what's happening in the world every day. You don't not know. You don't want to know. So I don't really got time for that. So if you really want to do the work, here's some books you should read. You should go read The Souls of Black Folks by Du Bois and tell me what you think about that. Go read The Narrative of Frederick Douglass. Go read Malcolm X. Go read some of these books. Read Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates and tell me what you think about it. Go do the work. I can't do the work for you. And then they ask me how they wonder how come this family calls you? How come they don't call me? I'm the social worker. Have you called them? When's the last time you called them just to tell them that their daughter was having a good day at school? Or do you only call when she don't come to school? Well, I don't. That's why.
Let me ask you this then. I think we about go ahead and ask you.
No,
I think we got the
ahead,
same question.
Go ahead.
Is it on us to help educate these grown people who have a stake, they're stakeholders in these kids' lives, right? Because you mentioned that you don't have much patience when it comes to this, because it should be noticed that there's implicit bias in the system, right? But is it up to us to bear the responsibility of teaching people?
I would say this: you don't owe nobody your energy, and Google is free. But if you do want somebody to, I'm not even trying to be funny.
You wipe the sweat from my brow.
I'm just being honest, bro. You don't owe nobody your energy, and Google is free. But if you do feel like you have somebody who can be a true ally and who does want to do the work, it don't take much to help them, meet them halfway, meet them where they are. I realize that with any movement, anybody, kid or whatever, I got to meet you where you are to get you where you need to be. Also, identify when someone is just trolling you and trying to exhaust you with that energy too. That's the thing. You got to have your antennas to know the difference, because there are some people who just here to detract. They only want to get you riled up and get a reaction out of you. So that's another thing. You don't even feed into that. But like I said, Google is free. If you really want to do the work, these are some books. If you go read them books, then I know you want to do the work. Then we can talk. If you don't, then I don't know what else you want me to say.
I agree with you, bro. I feel like it's not a response. I love the I don't owe you my energy and Google is free. I do think though, if the end goal is to create change, if the end goal is to shift the community, if the end goal is to be purpose-led, if the end goal is to create impact, when there's opportunities for us to help people cross that chasm, we will help usher them across
100%.
that. And I think that's why we need educators like you in the classroom. That's why I'm glad there's leaders like Chris in corporate America. At the same time, that's why I'm glad you're able to be a part of these conversations, because now you're taking that back to that campus that we grew up on. Again, like Vario talked about this, your campus is way different from when we was there. But the beauty behind that is, if that's the goal, you'll make that impact. And I don't know how to overstate this, because I don't think it can be oversaid. But bro, I really appreciate having you, bro.
Hey man, I love this. This is great, man. These are the conversations I have with my friends every day anyway. So I
Chris
love
said,
this, man.
Chris said before last season, he said, we've been having these conversations. We just cutting the cameras.
We just turn the camera.
That's all it is.
Let's
These
go.
are the conversations that we have, because you can tell when it's not authentic. Like this is this is just flowing.
Yes.
Like this is just, you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
man, this is beautiful.
WeKnowFolk.com, right?
WeKnowFolk.com, @WeKnowFolk on Instagram. Follow us. Support. You know what I mean. We got more things coming. We just did a drop today. So again, man, thank you for the support, man. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for
I appreciate you
showing out, man. Hey, man, for real, this was beautiful, man. Like,
This is good.
I hope I answered your questions, man.
You did.
Hey,
You
man.
did.
I appreciate. I learned a new term today. Tertiary.
Church was a 3,
Yeah. How you pronounce it?
Tertiary.
Yeah. I learned something today.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Somebody's Son podcast. We encourage you to share this episode with a friend. And remember, on this path called life, you are not alone. Thank you for watching. Until next time.
She liked the way that I finessed her. She stared so long, she let me know